It's time to do Morgan, new film from Ridley Scott's son, Luke Scott.
Luke Scott, his directorial debut.
Nepotism.
So, just a bit of a big shoe size to fill.
How big are Ridley Scott's feet?
I don't know how big are Ridley Scott's feet.
Is he?
Have a look. I'm curious now.
Okay, well,
I'll do a review.
explain it.
Have a
I'll see
look.
if I can find
So
out.
basically, Morgan follows Kate Mara, who's had a bit of a troubled acting year, a few years so far. She basically is a corporate troubleshooter who's sent out to a remote, top-secret location where she is to investigate and evaluate an incident that happened at this facility. Where in this facility they have a team working on a project where it's basically. It's the title character Morgan, who is a clone who was built to be sort of, with like a rapid growth rate and essentially just like an artificial human using sort of micro DNA and using sort of nano robots. So basically, an artificially created human. And however, of course, as you would expect, this human is not exactly human.
It doesn't all go to plan.
Yeah, it didn't all go to plan, and it turns out that incident wasn't just an isolated incident, and it's all going to pot, essentially.
Ridley Scott's shoe size isn't available online, but he's 5'8".
If we ever get the chance to interview him, I think that'll be the first question.
I think so. He's about he's around about the same height as me, maybe a little bit bigger, and my feet are like a 9.
Really?
Yeah.
Ridley Scott that small?
Yeah, he's quite small.
I didn't know. Wow. There you go.
Anyway.
But yeah, so that's the plot of Morgan, and basically it's got quite a storied cast. Really, it's got everybody's favourite shouty man, Paul Giamatti, as a sort of psychoanalyst.
Yeah.
It's got Kate Mara, it's got Michelle Yeoh in it. It's got everyone's favorite. Well, I mean, it's got the girl from The Witch, Anya Taylor-Joy, playing the title character Morgan. It's got a lot of talented people, and I was expecting. There's not been much advertisement for Morgan. There has not been at all. I mean,
not in the cinemas, but there's been a lot of hype around it, Joe, because we've been speaking. I think last week we mentioned Morgan because of the whole hype building thing they did with the whole.
What is Morgan?
What is Morgan?
So,
yeah.
Bad idea.
I know. I didn't see any sort of major stuff about that. I saw quite a lot of.
Well, other people did. It was heavily marketed.
Oh yeah, Jennifer Jason Leigh as well
for a little while. In a very phone.
Yeah, but I mean the people who have seen the marketing have sort of said it looked like a sort of knockoff of Ex Machina, like a less interesting Ex Machina. And I have to say, it's a film that explores a lot of similar ideas of Ex Machina. However, what I will say is that it's absolutely nowhere near as cerebral, because this is a film that has a lot of action in it. It's a film that has a lot of violence in it, and it is a film that deals with the question of AI and sort of more advanced alternative methods, all different worlds of humanity, different versions of a human, different ways that Ex Machina does it. And I think, as a thriller, Morgan doesn't really work, because you never really thrilled into it, because you never really thrilled at all, because there's a lot of issues which I'm sure Liam will get to more, because Liam's not a fan. But I think the fact that I appreciate parts of Morgan because it does have an attempt at blending that sort of philosophical science fiction concepts that it has with the body horror, the bloody horror that it has. It does try to do that at times, and I think that even though I wasn't entirely invested in the situation properly, I was invested in Anya Taylor-Joy as Morgan, because I think that she has a pretty magnetic performance at times. I think she's got that perfect mixture of sort of vulnerability and that awkward detached humanity that makes you fall in love with Ava from Ex Machina so much, because you can see that there is proper humanity in those eyes, but it may be a way of expressing it that she doesn't understand, or a way of interacting with our world. And there's a scene later on in the film where she's standing by a river and the music's swelling. It's sort of just panning over her view of the world, and it's a really, really well done scene, and I think that was probably the highlight of the film for me. But to be honest, in general, I don't think this worked because of the issues that Liam will now. Yeah.
I thought it was absolutely appalling. I thought it was really bad. I didn't enjoy it at all. I think the comparisons to Ex Machina are, I think, quite obvious. I didn't want to, but okay, fine, I will. Anya Taylor-Joy, I think Alicia Vikander's sort of set the precedent for the perfect sort of, not quite, human performance. She got that spot on perfect. This isn't the same kind of, it's a different kind of beast. Obviously it's not like an AI robot, it's a human sort of clone thing.
Yeah.
So it's not, she couldn't do the same performance, but I don't think there's much there. I think the fundamental problem with the film is it does a little sciencey bit at the start. It's like, okay, we've got Toby Jones doing the the explanation of what it all means. Right, that's the sciencey bit done. Cool. Can we get on back to just killing people now? Yeah. We'll just start killing people now. So if you've seen the trailer, you'll know that people get picked off, and then you've kind of seen the film and you've spared yourself an hour and a half. Characters I don't care about. I don't really care about any of them. Kate Mara is as stiff as a board. I mean, you do sort of find out why she's stiff board, but I mean, but beyond that, she's not a good performer in this
and
film.
just mentioned there, like Toby Jones, another person in the cast, and Rose Leslie as well from Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
people that aren't really utilised at all to their full potential.
No, I think that the film leans so heavily on its fight scenes, and I know Anya Taylor-Joy had to do a lot of fight training for this film. It's like her second film role or something after The Witch. It's so poorly shot. I mean, there's the thing in it always gets shared on Reddit, the Taken scene where the editing is choppy.
Where
it's
he
like
jumps the fence.
like 20 cuts in about 4 seconds. There was times in Morgan that was like that, and because it's so fast and so indistinguishable, it's actually horrible to look at. There was times I had to like shield my eyes from watching it. I had to squint from watching this just absolute mess of just chop, 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 hit, chop, 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 and it was just ugly. It was a really ugly looking film. Production design wise, I think it was pretty standard for what you'd expect. It's sort of a remote location, sci-fi, underground, blah blah blah. Not really that imaginative. Nothing that we've not seen before. I didn't care. I don't think there was much to be interested in this. I think it leans so much on the fighting, which is so poorly done, that when the twist comes, and yes, if you're paying attention to the film at all, you'll notice the twist from probably the moment
I didn't see it coming till the end.
It fades in. You'll know if you watch closely enough, and because I spotted it so early on, by the time it eventually did reach its climax, I was like, yay, it's finished, thank God. I thought it was absolutely dreadful. I think the fact I like Ex Machina so much maybe took me in with some kind of expectation, except it didn't really, because I don't like Kate Mara. I don't like much about what I'd seen of the hype, and it was just, I thought it was shocking. I thought it was really bad.
Fair enough.
Really bad.
I think the film for me was strongest when it was focusing on Anya Taylor-Joy's character,
but it never did.
And her relationship and fascination with the world outside, and the naturalistic nature of the world. But I feel like, to be honest, that relationship that the team had with her, and the fact that they were closing themselves in from the world to sort of just shield Morgan from the reality of life, was sort of, it was not anywhere near as much explored as I would want to. Lots of undeveloped characters, action that was shoddy, like you say, poorly edited and all that jazz. And just,
I think above all, Paul Giamatti. I was really looking forward to seeing Paul Giamatti, and I thought his scene.
I thought that was probably one of the strongest scenes, to be honest. I think that was because it was bouncing on a knife edge. You know, it was.
I don't think it was.
It's
it's in the trailer, quite crucially, what happens, and I don't think it didn't come across as something that would actually happen. I know you've said that it's kind of what they would do to put it under the test.
In a test with an AI, that's what
I
they
don't
would do.
think it was. I think it was very Hollywood hyped up. I think it was over accentuated more than it needed to be. I do like Paul Giamatti because he's so good at screaming in people's faces. But in this, I didn't enjoy it. I thought the character was sloppy. I thought that. Especially his character did so little research. He goes in with a blank file. He's like he isn't prepared for it. If he was actually going to do the psychoanalysis, he'd have
maybe
files.
that's just a parable on the arrogance of us.
I guess, but
dealing with an AI that we don't understand.
By this point, I'd already given up any hope for anybody.
Yeah.
So that's Morgan. I'm not going to recommend it. I'd say see anything else. See Ben-Hur. I enjoy Ben-Hur more.
I think I would recommend this if you've got nothing else to do, because it does have some interesting questions to discover, but it doesn't do anywhere near enough to. But I think judge for yourself. Judge this for yourself.
That's what it's all about. Judge it for yourself. We can't tell you what to do, but I'm telling.